Hey, it turns out the common wisdom is broken. The bank bailout is making a profit. The U.S. Treasury says from the 49 firms who have paid back the money and exited the program, they have made, or rather we the taxpayers have made, $10.5 billion profit. According to the financial research firm of SNL Financial, that's a tidy 8.5% return on the bailout investment. Included in the bargain, the banking system appears to have survived, and most Americans do not live in cardboard boxes. Politically, though, don't forget, bailout, huge failure. The country's communist now, and ACORN's responsible for everything bad, including that guy from Butler missing that half-court shot at the buzzer last night. They did it. They did it. Don't forget. So first, a few holy mackerel stories in today's news. Are you ready for your Does Michael Steele still have a job as head of the RNC update? Of course you are. After the RNC was found to have spent donor money at a fake lesbian bondage-themed sex show nightclub, and after they paid $13,000 to the RNC co-chair's daughter, and after they charged expenses at a fly fishing shop and a liquor store as meals and office supplies, and after Republican bigwigs formed their own new group and told donors to stop giving Michael Steele any money, and after Sarah Palin demanded that her name being taken off an RNC fundraiser, and after maybe the single biggest fundraiser in the Republican Party quit the RNC, and after the RNC chief of staff either quit or was fired, and Michael Steele replaced him with the reportedly widely hated guy who ran his not reportedly but actually disastrous and scandal-ridden failed Senate campaign. After all that happened, and Mr. Steele hired as his new finance guy a man who was recently fined thousands of dollars in fines for misusing donors' money, after all of that, today happened. And in today's news, we learn that an RNC member from New Hampshire has publicly resigned in protest of Mr. Steele's leadership. And we learn that the political consultants who helped Mr. Steele get the RNC chairman gig in the first place have quit him too. We have learned that Mr. Steele has written to all of the remaining members of the RNC saying the buck stops with him, and he wants the RNC to buckle up and hunker down with him. That's the actual phrase he used. Buckle up and hunker down. And Mr. Steele still has his job. And for the record, right now, as I'm speaking, it is 9:47 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, in case this needs to be time-stamped. In Nevada, the trials and tribulations of Senator John Ensign are threatening to take a very public turn. Veteran Las Vegas Sun reporter John Ralston quotes a source familiar with deliberations occurring inside the Justice Department as saying it is very likely John Ensign will be indicted, and that charges would include the allegation that when Senator Ensign last year paid almost $100,000 to his mistress, he did so in a way that was deliberately designed to keep that payment from having to be reported. Meanwhile, Mr. Ralston's paper, the Las Vegas Sun, Mr. Ensign's hometown paper, has published perhaps the most scathing, brutal takedown of a sitting, as yet unindicted senator that I have ever read in any senator's hometown paper ever in my entire life. They call him tone-deaf, borderline obtuse, increasingly arrogant, narcissistic, reckless, a detached, self-righteous figure oblivious to the collateral damage caused by his actions. Examples of Ensign's selfishness and arrogance, they say, are legion. They use the word narcissism again. They say he has character defects, that he was an ass to his employees, that he was a show horse, not a workhorse, that he is neither knowledgeable nor interested in the gritty details of policy or politics, that he is uninformed. These are all words used in this article in John Ensign's hometown paper, and most of these allegations against Ensign are sourced to Nevada Republicans, quite a few of whom are willing to be quoted by name saying these things about sitting Republican Senator John Ensign. No matter what you think about John Ensign, this piece in the Las Vegas Sun is one of the most remarkable hometown takedowns I have ever seen of any politician. It is linked, if you would like to cuddle up with it, at maddowblog.msnbc.com. We will be right back. The video we are about to show you here is graphic and it may be disturbing. Take a look if you want to at video released yesterday, reportedly taken during combat operations in Iraq. It was reportedly taken from a U.S. attack helicopter.
You're clear. All right, firing. Line here. When the state line out. Let me know when you gather. We'll shoot. Light them all up.
202 traffic, 260s.
Come on, fire. Hey, Roger. Keep shoot. Keep shoot.
That is just a small portion of a 38-minute video posted online by whistleblowing website wikileaks.org. WikiLeaks says it received the classified video and supporting documents from anonymous military sources. The video appears, as you saw, to depict a U.S. military attack helicopter shooting at what the pilots appear to believe are armed insurgents on the streets of Baghdad. After gunning down 8 people, the helicopter then shoots at people who emerge from a van to help the people who were wounded in the earlier shooting barrage. But according to the context provided by WikiLeaks, 2 of the victims were not only not armed insurgents, they were actually journalists for Reuters news service. The military response to this has been not to deny the authenticity of the video, but to defend the choices made by its troops in this war zone. Here's what the military said after an internal investigation into this incident in 2007. They said that the attack weapons team positively identified the threat, established hostile intent, conducted a collateral damage assessment, and received clearance to fire. And they also say that after only extensive review of the helicopter gun cam video did they realize that 2 of the individuals killed may have been reporters. Nearly 3 years later, the WikiLeaks video surfaced on the same day that the New York Times published another heart-in-your-throat description of an attack that killed civilians in a war zone. This time in Afghanistan, it was this February, a couple of months ago, during a nighttime raid. Special forces looking for Taliban insurgents fired on 2 armed men who emerged from their home to investigate. They also shot and killed 3 women who were standing near one of the men. An investigation by Afghan authorities determined that not only did the U.S. forces kill innocent people in that incident, but they also tried to cover up the deaths, one man claiming that U.S. troops dug bullets out of the women's bodies. Pentagon officials have admitted that the civilians were killed inadvertently, but as to the specific allegation of a cover-up, they have denied attempting to retrieve any bullets from the bodies. Now, the U.S. military has opened another investigation into that Afghanistan incident to try, presumably, to reconcile the widely different stories that are being told about what happened there. What's important about both of these incidents in Iraq and Afghanistan is not just accountability for the individuals involved, necessary, moral, legal, and appropriate as that may be. What's also important is what these incidents mean for Americans, for all of us, and for our national security policy as we contemplate the beginning of year 8 in Iraq and the middle of year 9 in Afghanistan. What the American government is counting on to win these ongoing wars, the way out we have chosen is counterinsurgency. That's the approach spearheaded by General David Petraeus since 2007 and his protege and successor, General Stanley McChrystal, in Afghanistan since 2008. And what that strategy depends on for success is a lack of civilian casualties. The point of counterinsurgency is, like the old saw says, to win the hearts and minds of the people, to shore up legitimate authority of the local government, and then get the population to side with the government, to side with authorities instead of siding with the insurgency. That's why the exposure of these incidents is important. And critically, the response from the military is important. All eyes on the Pentagon here for their response. Today, President Obama unveiled his nuclear posture review, which is just about the most boring title ever assigned to something so humongously important and ambitious and actually fascinating. The President of the United States says he wants to rid the world of nuclear weapons. He can't just throw them on a barge in the Potomac and be done with it. But to begin, Mr. Obama says the U.S. won't use nuclear weapons against nations that have signed and are complying with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Just saying that is a real change in policy, and in practical terms, it might foster unprecedented diplomatic capital at the cost of roughly nothing to the United States. On Thursday, the president returns to Prague to sign a new treaty with Russia that will reduce each country's nuclear arsenal by about a third. On Monday, the president will host world leaders at a conference on safeguarding weapons and radioactive material so bombs and the stuff used to make the bombs don't end up floating around on the black market. We turn now to our countries with bad nuclear posture correspondent, Mr. Kent Jones. Hi, Kent.
Hi, Rachel. You know, North Korea's ambitions are not entirely nuclear. Their latest initiative is, ominously, artistic.
Uh-oh.
Take a look.
At a big inauguration ceremony this weekend, the African nation of Senegal celebrated the 50th anniversary of its independence from France by unveiling this statue. Whoa! Called the Monument of African Renaissance, this ginormous copper sculpture depicts a family rising out of a volcano. A really buff family. And at 160 feet tall, it's 1 foot taller than the Statue of Liberty. So, is everyone super psyched about the giant new artwork? No! Forget that a giant statue may not be the first item on a list of things a poor country like Senegal really needs. Critics aren't into the whole hero of the people vibe. It doesn't say Africa so much as it says Stalin. If it looks like something that belongs in North Korea, that's because the workers who built it are from North Korea. In exchange for $27 million to build a statue, North Korea received a piece of land in Senegal. African Renaissance. Brought to you by Kim Jong-il. Now, no one likes a massive chunk of monumental art more than dear leader. Maybe he'll use that parcel of land in Senegal to build something like this, or this, or this. So to recap, Senegal now has a really big statue a lot of people don't like, and North Korea got part of an African country thousands of miles away. Sculpt locally, act globally.
So weird. Thank you, Kent. Appreciate it.